Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another review of the Berserk anime series. We're talking Season 2 here, and today's episode just so happens to be the season finale, or quite possibly the series finale. There has been no formal announcement for a third season of Berserk, and this week's episode gave us the final message that the story will continue. Probably in the manga version. So, where is the chase and how can we cut to it? I am not in my studio right now, I'm not at my house, and I'm in Idaho Falls, which is awesome. So I'm going to be doing my review in the hotel room here. I've had a little bit of help from Christian with the lighting, so make sure to thank him. I think it looks a lot better tonight. Frankly, he's a whiz when it comes to that type of stuff. So it's going to be the perfect environment for a review of Berserk. And this episode right here, guys, man, what a piece of shit. Like, this had to be one of the worst looking episodes of the series. And it's all thanks to one character, this pirate, who I believe goes by the name of Bonebeard. Don't quote me on that one. But man, this has got to be like the worst looking character I've seen from the entire series. It's almost worthy of praise, it looks so bad. I mean, so wooden and robotish, and the deaded eyes and the... oh, it hurts. I mean, they dropped the fucking ball on this character. The expression on his face will haunt my dreams forever. Incredibly dead-eyed, the disturbing teeth, and the weird, wacky, almost marionette-styled movements make this guy way more scarier than a lot of the monsters that we've actually seen from this season of the friggin' series. That and the fact that the episode kind of just ended with a whimper. It just didn't really go anywhere. And I felt like the final 2 minutes of the episode just had to be like the biggest fuck you to the fans. Like, they were just like really digging in deep there. Like, really just taking that knife and jabbing it right into my spine and making me cry out in pain. Like, Jesus Christ. You know why? That final scene looked great. It had some of the best artwork and animation that I've seen from the series, and that's still not saying a lot. Animation, there's barely any movement at all, but the absolute atmosphere that they're able to convey with the 2D art style at the very end of this week's episode just really feels sour. It's like, you couldn't have done the whole show like this? Why not? This looks great, and it's way closer to the actual source material. We didn't get to see what the action was going to be capable of, but I'd really love to see what they could do with it, because, man, these characters felt way more alive in that final fucking scene than this entire fucking adaptation. I'm sorry I'm getting so passionate about it, but I am a big fan of the Berserk manga series. It's got a great story, no doubt, but it is definitely such a great representation of why manga is such a treasured freaking medium. And Kentaro Miura's artwork in that series just looks sexy as fuck all the damn time. There's never like a single bad panel. It's perfect. It really is. It's grotesque, it's scary, it's funny. It's every type of emotion that you could possibly see in anything. And it is not conveyed at all in this TV adaptation, which really angers me. Don't get me wrong, there are some really awesome and hardcore metal kick-ass action scenes from this series, but wow, just the style that they chose for this series completely fucks all of it up, and it doesn't allow any of the emotion to freaking show through at all. Again, like I said, a lot of the atmosphere of the manga is completely lost in the anime version in the expressions of the characters. It's just not there, it's wooden, it's not very fun to watch, and it just makes for a bad viewing experience. That being said, there are a lot of moments that I was glad to finally see in an animated form, and even in this episode, it wasn't wholly terrible. I mean, most of it was devoted to the character of Shirke, or Shirk, whatever you want to fucking pronounce it. She's a really great character. I love her in the manga version. It just seems like, you know, going out with a little bit of a whimper with that being the final episode of this season. It makes you wish they would have focused on something a little more grandiose and epic. Maybe something with Griffith and the Band of the Hawk would have been a lot better to see, and then maybe a final scene with Guts. Not to mention, this episode has this moment where we get this meeting between Sonya, the seer of the brand new Band of the Hawk, and Shirkei. The meeting between Shirkei and Sonya in this week's episode is without a doubt the best thing about it. It's a really touching moment. I really do like that we have the two gentlest sides of these two opposing forces actually meeting up with each other, and you can see they have a lot in common, yet they have very different end goals, and especially the way that they view the world is so strange, because Sonya is such a bouncy, bubbly character, but she is involved with so many fucked up things that are basically indescribable. And that's exactly why Shirkei is so freaked out in the first place. She doesn't want to see, like, any of the ugliness of the world, and she's afraid that if she goes with Guts' group, that's really all that she's going to see. And by the end of the episode, she even has the opportunity to join their group. She declines to stay with Guts, but mostly because she wants to ride as Dragon Slayer. I also got a little bit of enjoyment out of the scenes between Isidro and Mule when they started fighting against each other. It was really choppy and really stupid, but I liked that when their faces got completely bruised up and they were saying each other's names, that they made no freaking sense. It was just a nice little funny moment. And then we have the finale of the episode, which is basically just all the characters hanging out in this seedy bar where all these big creepy dudes are coming up on all the main female characters. And this is just a perfect excuse for Guts just to beat the ever-living shit out of them, and he does! And this whole scene looks great, man. Like, seriously, it's some of the best stuff the series has actually ever produced, and actually, I felt something watching it. It felt like it was capturing the atmosphere of the manga, and they wasted it all, and you couldn't even see half of it because it was being covered up with the credits. That's something that this series is very guilty of doing a lot of. So it just sort of ended with the prospect that maybe the story's gonna continue. But if it doesn't, go read the manga version, and I highly recommend it because it's actually a really damn good series. I can't endorse it enough. So, what's the rundown on this incredibly, ridiculously long review? Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the end of the Berserk anime series, I think. I really don't believe we're going to be getting another season of the show. I know the fan base has not been very happy about this one. They've been very vocal about that. The brand new adaptation of the Berserk anime series was like the little anime that could. It started out in the gate swinging really hard, but pretty much missing every single ball. And then somewhere down the line, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. We knew the Berserker armor was coming. The second season was opening up with a bang. Things seemed a little better. They were using more 2D scenes. The character scenes were a lot better. The story was more coherent. It had trolls. It was awesome. And then somewhere down the line, the Berserker armor showed up, which was supposed to be like the moment, people, and it didn't really live up to the expectations. It had some cool looking moments, and the visuals, admittedly, are pretty awesome. I mean, what's not to love about a freaking cool badass Black Knight set against a giant fire fighting a dragon? Just saying that out loud sounds fucking awesome, and it looks cool, but it just didn't really add all that much to the series, and unfortunately, that's kind of the case for this entire show. This is the type of series that, when I started watching it, I was more enamored by it because I was just a fan of the Berserk series, and I sort of was a little too lenient on it. The more that I've watched it, the more I've realized that this is a very flawed series, and not just in the animation department. In fact, I think most of the faults for me come from a little bit of the story, just how incredibly all over the place it is. And yes, it is kind of an adaptation of the manga, but they're also skipping so many crucial elements that make the series what it is, and it just feels like they're taking things away from the fans. And, you know, I don't know what the future holds for it, and even if the third season comes around, will I watch it? As a Berserk fan, the gods demand it. I must watch another season of Berserk. Will I review it? I don't know, because I hate doing negative stuff. It's just not my thing. But I wanted to wrap up this entire damn season right here. And there it is, just on my thoughts. I'm beating this horse to death, people. So the final episode was not terrible. That like final 2 minutes was just atmospheric and awesome and felt like classic Berserk to me, and that made me really like this episode. But it also like pissed me off because it's like they could have done that the entire time and they didn't. And all the stuff with the pirates and Shirkei going around and having her little fit about the fact that she doesn't know if she wants to be with all these crazy people and blah, 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 blah. Although I did like the scene where she did, like, actually get all of the Kushans who were hung by the frickin' Holy See and actually allowed them to be cremated, thus letting their souls free. It was a nice, tender moment for her character, and she certainly came into her own in this episode, and she continues to be oh so frigging adorable every time she gets around Guts, and even at the very end of the episode when they try to put her in somewhat normal clothes because the Holy See don't like people dressing like witches. They like to burn those bitches. So, this was a pretty damn good episode of Berserk, is what I would be saying if this were an ideal anime series that actually gave a shit about doing a good adaptation. No, this episode was probably like a 2 out of 5, for most people 1, and most people probably won't even give a fuck either way. The point is, this was sort of a failed adaptation of an incredibly epic manga series, and what more can be said? So, there it is. This was my scatterbrained review of the final episode of Berserk Season 2. That being said, I want to hear from you guys. Did you have the same thoughts as me? Maybe you really loved this episode. Maybe you loved this entire adaptation. For the entire damn thing, I give it like a 2.5 out of 5. Like, it's watchable, but there are just some crappy things going on in this series, and it's not worth having to wait all that time having to go for the cool scenes again. Corey, the review is over. I want to hear from you guys. Make sure to tell me what you thought about the Berserk anime series, Season 1, Season 2, and your hopes, or maybe not wanting to see Season 3 in the future. Comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Berserk reviews in the future. Maybe. It's kind of hard to tell. And of course, make sure to leave me a comment. And if you liked this review, take your Dragon Slayer and hit that friggin' like button. Thank you guys again. Take care. And as always, stay dandy, baby. I'm taking a break for fireworks. Good news! The fireworks kicked ass.